Hello, everybody. So, it happened. The Year 7 teaser trailer has dropped, and it's got people talking. What on earth did we just see? What is this? What is coming? What is For Honor promising for the next year of content and story and lore? What's on the way? Well, people have been coming to ask me that, and of course, I do have my thoughts. I do have my suspicions, and I'm here to share all those with you right here, right now. We're going to talk about what I saw in the trailer, what we see on the New Year roadmap, what all's coming, and what my thoughts are on it. Before we get started, though, I do want to say two things. First of all, if you want a shorter video that breaks down what was in the trailer very concisely, I would check out Freeze's video. I'll leave a link to it in the description. He does a great job, and a lot of what he says I, for the most part, agree with. So definitely go check that out. Also, if you want to help support the channel, I do have a Teespring store and a Patreon store where you can support me by donating, even as up to $1 a month. Any donation y'all offer really helps the channel out. I couldn't do this without you guys, and if I want to continue to make constant content for you guys, it really helps to have the donations. So anyway, enough of all that. Let's get into the trailer and what we saw. So the first thing that I want to talk about is obviously the statue. Now, I want to make a quick apology before we go too far. I made a video not too long ago where I was talking about the angels we saw in For Honor, and I made a guess that the angel we saw on the menu screen was the Archangel Michael. I now believe that not to be the case. I believe, based on this statue that we're seeing here, this is not an archangel at all. Freeze made the guess that this is Justitia, the Greek goddess of justice. And yeah, that actually makes a lot more sense the more I think about it, because of course For Honor is never going to go down the Christian route, so this makes a lot more sense. We see the blindfolded lady, we see the sword in hand, we see the scales, but what I find interesting is the sword that she's holding, did y'all notice, is a warmonger sword. In fact, it's Astria's sword specifically. That is Astria's sword, and I think that's very unique. That is, like, why would it have a warmonger sword? Some people, including Freeze, were speculating that this might be a warmonger hero skin. I have my doubts. I do not think that this is a hero skin. For one thing, this is a year teaser trailer, and I doubt that they drop the image of a hero skin that's not supposed to show up until season 2 this early for a year thing. I doubt that highly. And another reason why is if you look at the statue itself, there's a shoulder pole drawn there that looks like it belongs to a Tiandi or a Wu Lin. And if you look at her shins, it looks like she's wearing gladiator protective shin guards. I don't think that this is hero skin, and I could be wrong. If later on we find out that this is in fact the Warmonger hero skin or a Tiandi hero skin, that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. I just have my doubts. What I think this is, genuinely, is I think it's just a statue that's meant to represent justice, order, honor code, stuff like that, and how it's represented. And so that's my theory about it. So, and what do I think that this could potentially have something to do with what the hero skins could be later? I don't think so. I really don't. I think that this is just a bit of metaphor for us right here. But what I really want to talk about is notice what's all around the statue are a bunch of chains strung from the walls, wrapped around the statue. There are a bunch of chains everywhere. And I want to talk a little bit about the chains here. The sword that the statue is carrying is wrapped by chains. Now, swords always denote some kind of action. When you draw your sword, you've chosen to take action, be it for good or for evil. But with the chains wrapped around the sword, this implies that something or someone is preventing the sword from taking action. Now, if this statue represents justice, then my only guess is that these chains are trying to restrict justice. That's the metaphor. That's what we're meant to take from this. The narrator keeps talking about dark or dangerous things coming, or dark times. My thought is that a dangerous organization or event has come to Heathmore, and my guess, based on what we've seen from the Horkos Masquerade, is that Horkos wins the faction war. They win against Chimera, and thus Horkos now controls Heathmore, and we're going to see the results of a Horkos victory, and that's what's happening here. Now, do I think that Astria is behind all this, based on the fact that she's carrying Astria's sword? You could look at this two ways. One way you could look at this is that with Astria in charge, it becomes her justice. Like, I think back to in One Piece when Doflamingo, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, makes the point that justice is always defined by the victors. The victors will be the ones who write the history books and thus define justice.
The one who wins will rewrite the definition of right and wrong. They'll decide the future and how the past is written. Will justice prevail? Why, there's no other way!
So it would make a lot of sense here if Astria was defining what justice is, but I don't think that's quite what this is. In fact, I don't think that that's what this is at all. I think that what this is simply the Horkos victory has cemented something new, and it has restricted the concept of what is true justice. And we'll talk more about that when we get to it. I want to finish talking about the trailer first, but I'll talk to you more about my issues with this theory as we go further. Next, I want to talk about the helmets that we see scattered at the statue's feet. The implication here is that either many have died under the feet of injustice, or that sacrifices have been made to hold up justice. Because the statue represents justice, you could argue that all these helmets and bodies and weapons at the feet of the statue represent that to uphold justice, people have had to die. Now, Freeze mentioned that maybe the Valkyrie helmet is hinting that a hero skin for Valkyrie will be coming out. I don't necessarily think that, because we also saw Shugoki's mask as one of the ones underneath the statue, and we know we're not getting a samurai hero skin this year, so I don't think that's necessarily it. I just think they're recognizable helmets that they decided to use. After all, we also see a griffin weapon and a katana among the helmets and stuff, so I don't necessarily think that that's what we're getting. But I mean, it's a fair choice, and if we do get a Valkyrie hero skin, that would be good. Freeze did point out that because Valkyrie has gotten such a good rework and she's so strong now, it would be very easy to sell a good Valkyrie skin. Besides, we need one where she sews her face, remember? But again, it's hard to say for certain. Now, another thing that I want to point out, and this is important, during the trailer, the scale breaks, like the scale she's holding breaks. But note that it wasn't broken due to any weight or counterbalance. What happened was the two chains that were holding it level suddenly shifted hard with one yanking up. Now, the implication there is that something was forced. The imbalance that has come has not been a result of natural causes. This isn't a result of like a volcano erupting or a drought or a flood or a monsoon or anything like that. This is not nature at work. This is someone in power. This is something in power. This is a deliberate action to throw out the balance. And I think that ties back into what Horkos is doing. With Horkos 1, the balance of power has shifted, and now we see a break in justice. Now, this would be the moment where, you know, justice steps in. All right, well, the balance has been shifted. Now Lady Justice has to step in and fix the problem. But of course, as we saw, the chains are restricting her. The chains have stopped her sword from rising. The chains are holding her back. So something is holding back Lady Justice, and we can assume it is likely either Horkos or someone like Horkos. Now, the narrator asks you, likely you, the audience, to fight the swords of injustice.
Balance the scales. Take up your weapon and fight the swords of injustice.
Now, what are the swords of injustice? We don't know yet. It could be the name of a new threat, the name of a new organization. I mean, I'm not sure what they could mean. Genuinely, this could have a lot of meanings. I mean, I'm not sure if they mean it rhetorically or metaphorically or theoretically or poetically.
Or in any other fancy way.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist that. What we know for sure, though, is that the swords of injustice have their hands in enslavement and wickedness and
death straight up.
Again, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist it. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm done, I promise. My point being that the swords of injustice obviously represent some kind of evil, some kind of chaotic force that has come to prevent justice from happening. Now, is it Horkos? Is it someone like Horkos? I don't know, and we'll get to that. The last thing I want to talk about with the trailer itself is this part, where they say, beliefs shall be tested. The old order is shaken. Virtue is shackled. Honor's battle cry silence. Take a look at that. Like from a literary perspective, this is interesting.
Beliefs shall be tested. The old order is shaken. Virtue shackled. And honor's battle cry silenced.
All the stuff that they're talking about are positive things. Beliefs, tradition, order, virtue, honor. These things are all at risk. And something sinister has come to happen to all of them. They're being tested, shaken, shackled, silenced. They're being forced into silence and subservience. Now, what does that mean? It means that whatever this force is, the swords of injustice that are shackling Lady Justice or Justicia, are going to be a threat to all of Heathmore. So, what can we say is going on here? Well, based on what I've seen, the Astria is very excited. We know that Ravier returned from Arabia with a prophecy for Horkos. Astria has heard the prophecy. She now knows something that no one else does. And with that huge advantage, what looks like is going to happen is they're going to win the war. They're going to beat Chimera, and that means Horkos reigns supreme. Now, here's the thing. I don't like Horkos necessarily, because one of the problems I've always had with Chimera and Horkos is it is very much the mustache-twirling villain versus the archetypal good guy. Everything about Astria screams, I'm evil, I'm going to do bad stuff, and everything about Chimera screams, I'm good, I'm going to do good stuff. And what I really wanted was a bit of nuance. I wanted to see that Horkos had some virtue to them. Like, people have been telling me, Astria may not please all tastes, but she has a code of honor. And I agreed with that. It's a twisted code, but it's still a code of honor. I could see it. And even though Griffin, seems to be standing up for good, he at the same time acknowledges that certain things, even if they are good, aren't worth dying for. So I could see some nuance for these. But from the looks of it, if what I see is coming true, it looks like Astria is preparing for victory. Like she says that things are about to change. Order is about to be shifted. And now with all these Outlander heroes coming in, pirates, Magi, Aphira, the balance has changed. This is no longer the same faction war that it was between four factions, Knights, Samurai, Vikings, and Wulin. No. We have new players in the game. The balance of power has been very much upset, and Horkos is now throwing everything under the bush. So what does that mean? What does it look like for a Horkos victory? Well, based on the change we're seeing, I'm guessing enslavement. I'm guessing subjugation. I'm guessing tyranny. See, that's what I'm guessing is going to happen. Now, here's what I hope happens. This is what I hope happens. To clarify, I would like it if perhaps when Ravier showed Astria the prophecy, Astria saw something there that scared her, like there was something worse coming. So whether or not she won or lost the war, her belief had been shaken. There was fear there, because I remember in one of the little lore tidbits, she raises a glass during the masquerade, but then lets it drop and it shatters, which I thought might be perhaps something was scaring her. Perhaps she was saying that something dangerous was on its way, and so now she and Vortigern are going to slink back into the shadows and try to avoid what's coming. And then whatever shows up uses Horkos' victory to kickstart their own campaign, which is absolute pure evil. And it's so awful that even old enemies like Horkos and Chimera need to join forces to stop it. I don't know necessarily what's going to happen. That would have been what I'd like, because it would have shaken things up. But now it looks like what's going to happen is Horkos is going to win, and we're going to see Heathmore under the rule of Horkos. So, with all that said, do I know for certain? Is there every possibility that I'm wrong? For sure. For sure, I could very much be wrong. But it looks like we're changing from a battle of a wolf versus a stag into a lion versus a jackal. The lions of virtue versus the scavenger jackals, the people who want to fight for their liberties and freedoms and for righteousness and for justice, who are now being subjugated and controlled and enslaved by those who are ravenous and hungry and deadly. Now, people may be saying, Raven, I think you're reading too much into this. I don't think it's that complex. I don't think it's that big of a good versus evil scenario. I'm afraid it looks like that, because with the opening of this trailer, we see Lady Justice herself being shackled, being chained down, her sword being held off, her scale being broken, she's being tied down, and the voice is saying, you need to fight against the swords of injustice. Some kind of evil has been done. And which faction do we know of that tends to be more evil? Horkos. So that is what I think is happening. I'd like to see it where we see a little bit of nuance, where we see that something else rose up as a result. I don't know what to expect. Now, if we take a look at the year roadmap, I do want to take a look at that real quick. Something interesting that I noticed. Let's take a look at it together. So with Season 1, which starts on March 16th, we're going to be getting an Outlander hero skin. It'll be the first Outlander hero skin. I'm going to put money on that being pirate. I think that'll be a pirate hero skin. That's just my guess. Because that's the one that a lot of people seem to want. Everyone's like, we want a male pirate. So does that mean we're going to get a male pirate skin? I don't know. I don't know. So we'll have to see. And I think what's going to happen here is that it's going to show how Horkos won. This season is going to be dedicated to Horkos winning the war, starting their hostile takeover, enslaving the members of Chimera, maybe openly executing Holden. I don't know what they're going to do, but I think this is going to be where Horkos makes their big win. In fact, the hero skin might be a new hero skin for a pirate who is on the side of Horkos. I don't know, could be anything. Then we move on to Season 2, and we get a new hero who is an Outlander, and that could be an Outlander hero who shows up to try to shift the tide, to try to put up a fight against Horkos. Maybe that's our Aztec hero. That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see either a Rajput or an Aztec. Those are the two that I'd like to see. I'm putting more money on Aztec, even though I'd prefer to see the Rajput, because more people have been requesting Aztec. We also get a new Knight hero skin, perhaps something for Griffin, or perhaps something for the Lawbringer, something that, you know, what we could see in Season 2 is the rise of another force to try to turn around what Horkos did, which I don't want that. I'll be real honest, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see just another Chimera versus Horkos fight coming up. I don't want to see that. That's why I said I want to see this. If they're going to go this route again, I want to see them create something new, something that rose from Horkos' ashes so vicious, so evil, so wrong, that now all of Heathmore has to rise up against it. You know what it could be? You know what I'd like it to be? How about we go back to that Ramiel story? Because remember, in the story of Ramiel, they talked about these black giants showing up, these dark, evil giants that showed up and caused a lot of havoc. What if we saw those come back? What if, because of all this turmoil between Horkos and Chimera, we saw the giants that appeared in Ramiel's story, and that's what people are so afraid of? That'd be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? But anyway, I don't know. In Season 3, we get another hero skin, this time for the Wu Lin. We finally get a Wu Lin hero skin. It's about bloody time, I say. And we also get our Halloween event, and they made it a big deal, so I'm very excited to see what they do this year for the Halloween event. And then for Season 4, Vikings Rejoice, you're getting not only a hero skin, but a new hero. So all the people who say, they don't love the Vikings, they don't like the Vikings, they won't give us a new hero, you're not only getting a hero in Season 4, you're getting a hero skin, so I'm happy for you guys. I'm really excited to see what they do, because I'm curious what kind of weapon they're going to give a new Viking, because it's hard to get unique weapons for the Vikings. They've already used up a lot of what historical Vikings use, so this will be very interesting. And I'm willing to bet that this new Viking hero will be the one to either lead the evil faction or lead the good faction to fight against the new Swords of Injustice. I can't say for sure. So, I've said a lot. If I were to wrap it all up, what would I say? It is looking to me like, even more so than Chimera and Horkos, we're seeing another good versus evil battle. But unlike with Horkos and Chimera, where people could say, oh, well, you know, these are just two sides of a different coin. Chimera may be more morally good, but they're still warriors. Horkos may be more morally questionable and ambiguous, but they still have an honor code. There's still warriors amongst them who respect the warrior code. Now it's looking like we have something so evil that they're even apprehending and holding down justice itself. Something so evil is coming about that justice itself is being held down, that people's beliefs are going to be questioned, that the traditional order and way of things is going to be broken down, that conservative, old-fashioned values are going to be destroyed, that people are going to be questioning what they do and where they go, that, you know, virtue itself will be shaken and honor itself will be tossed to the wayside. All these things are very scary to consider. So I see a new war, a whole new conflict coming on the horizon. We'll know more about it when we see the actual year reveal. And I want to thank you guys for joining me on this video as I talk about my thoughts. I know it's all very vague, but then again, so is the trailer. I gave you the best that I could. If you enjoyed, please let me know down in the comments section. If you want to support the channel, like I said, I do have a Teespring store and a Patreon. You can also subscribe to the channel. And, you know, I really thank you guys for taking the time to watch my video. And until next time, I will see you in my next video. Take care.